openers.
What, just yesterday there was all the blackouts in Europe. Should we go ahead and start talking about that?
Yeah, with the blackouts, they're still ongoing as far as I saw in
Yeah,
Spain.
from what I understand, they're saying it could take up to like 2 weeks before things get restored.
Yeah,
But
there's certain areas they and there's such a crazy angles to this too. But yeah, the Schellenberger list post here explains some stuff in good detail. But
okay, so
as far as I understood, there's a couple things like with this, I saw that the portion that's affected right now, like 3 days ago, not only did they put out an article like in the local area about like having 72-hour prepare packs, but they also were bragging about how they have moved their entire energy grid to 100% renewable energy, and then now there's like nationwide energy like blackouts. Not even just like nationwide. This Schellenberger is saying it looks like it might be continent-wide blackouts.
dang. So and they don't know right now if this is a cyber attack or they're trying to call it. They're blaming it on some atmospheric. I can't remember what it was called now. Do we have that? We probably should have had it. I probably should have pulled up an article.
You
Post
said a
millennial.
surprise what?
I think a post millennial actually wrote an article on it. Tim Pool might have sourced from it. Here, let me read this and then I'll play this here real quick. But this is truly bananas. All of Europe appears to have been seconds away from continent-wide blackout. The grid frequency across continental Europe plunged to a 49.85 hertz, just a hair above the red line collapse threshold. So the normal operating frequency for Europe's power grid is 50 hertz, kept with an extremely tight margin of plus or minus 0.1. Anything outside of 0.2 triggers major emergency actions. If the frequency had fallen just another 0.3, Europe could have suffered a system-wide cascading blackout. At that threshold, automatic protective relays disconnect major power plants and collapse accelerates. So, dang, they got kind of lucky, apparently. I hate to say that considering what they're still dealing with, but it's disturbingly easy to imagine multiple scenarios where that could have occurred. The full story is here. So let's he's gonna make me subscribe to unlock it. Well, I'm not doing that, Michael Shellenberger.
Right. Yeah, right. Click the link to my Substack and you can read the full article. Like, okay. All right.
No thanks, Dick. But here's Tim Pool. He gives a little breakdown. What does it say on the millennial generation ain't faring too well? The source of the European power, natural or incompetence?
Is induced atmospheric vibration. They say that as a result of this.
Yeah, they're calling it atmospheric vibration. You know, is it a directed energy attack? I believe Lockheed Martin launched a new missile, a new rocket into space yesterday out of California. It's not usually SpaceX is the one that are sending them up. This one was actually a Lockheed. I'm not saying that they have anything to do with each other, but I don't know. But here, let's hear this.
Is induced atmospheric vibration. They say that as a result of this and the need to rebalance electricity flows internationally, it is thought that it could take a week for the network to return.
Okay, I'm going to say this. I don't know that it's a cyber attack or a directed energy weapon, but I lean towards that. Look, it is entirely possible that what we're really dealing with here is infrastructure collapse due to, well, let's just call it the millennial generation ain't faring too well. Is there a phrase we can come up with that references that we don't have enough Gen Alpha and Gen Z to run infrastructure? That may be the most likely. I got to be honest.
Is induced atmospheric.
So it's pretty crazy.
So what I've seen so far from what people have been floating out from the likes of like Luke Rudkowski and Blair White is their general take on this is actually that because the lockdowns and that happened with COVID are very non-palatable anymore, that
Mhm.
they're arguing that this might be an attempt to begin doing things like climate lockdowns, like because the climate is so unstable that we need to start locking things down. And that's what people's fears are with this, with the blackouts. And they actually, the video from Luke Rudkowski, which should be in there in the outline, it parallels a movie that came out recently on Netflix that starts with, like, I think all the power shutting down in areas, and people just immediately like have no what's going on because all communications get killed.
Mhm.
And then it like slowly, like, a lot more apocalyptic things happen. I forget what the movie's called. I watched it. It's not even like that
Isn't
bad
that
of a
the one
movie.
that the Obamas made?
I think so. It might
I
be.
just
It's like
watched it.
Leave the World Behind, I think, is the name of the movie or the show or the movie. Yeah.
I just watched it, the one that the Obamas made, and that sounds right.
Is that
It
the one
starts.
where like the boat comes towards the beach? That's like the first thing.
Yes, the very first opening scene, the big ship hits the beach,
Yeah, and
grounds
they like
itself on the
they
beach.
see it slowly get closer and closer, and they're like, I think that's coming closer. The sun, it says it, I think.
Right. Then they
And the
start
parents are like,
realizing that
no,
planes are crashing and stuff like that, and
yeah, that's
the
the
power
terrifying
goes
part.
out. There's
When he goes
uh,
out to that house by himself, and you see the plane incoming out of the sky, and he tries to run
right.
out of the way on the beach. Like, that part is terrifying.
Yeah.
You're not gonna make it very far, brother. Like, you just gotta pray.
Right. You don't even know where to run. It's coming right for you. Like, do you run left, right, towards it, away from it? What do you do?
Right.
Just me said, yeah, that's it. Leave the world behind.
Okay, I thought so.
Yeah, exactly. But Jay says usually if it was from the sun, we would get warnings and have data. And we just had a solar flare or whatever it's called hit the United States, the northern part of the United States. Like, there was warnings that there might be some power grids go out, radio frequency and stuff like that, like in the Pennsylvania and like north up into Canada area. And I believe there was actually some brownouts that happened because of it. And that was a rather significant one. And I don't think that it actually compares to what we're witnessing, what we're seeing over in Europe right now. But you're right, Jay. We knew it was happening ahead of time, and I read it on just my Google News on my phone or whatever. I'm like, oh crap, we're gonna get hit with a pretty strong solar flare and might actually lose some communications and stuff. And yeah, this is way bigger.
So, I know we're talking about the blackouts, but the Canadian thing's bothering me a bit because I'm seeing people posting about it nonstop right now. So I first asked because I wanted to know, like, what is the current election about? I understood it was a federal one happening in Canada, but then I actually asked Grok if they could put it in in American terms so I can understand better. Like, talk to me, explain it to me like this is America, what's happening in Canada. And this is what Grok said. It said, think of the Canadian federal election happening today as similar to a US presidential or midterm election, but for Canada's entire federal government. Canadians are voting to pick their equivalent of Congress members, 343 representatives for their House of Commons, which is like the US House of Representatives. So basically, like, they're having an election for all of their Congress right now. And like based on, I believe, the votes and and how many votes fall into the different parties. And I think that turns into like individual members. Um, but it's wild because the video, which we have this one in the blackout one, but the video I had there too shows the people who are currently reporting the news, their website is like just down, like DNS error. And so people are going crazy thinking that there's clearly a rigging happening. And if people were unfamiliar, if you follow Viva Fry, you're probably a bit more privy to what's happening because he's Canadian, so he spends more time talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
But in that, Pierre Polivre, I can't probably say his name right.
Polyev, I think it's Pierre Polyev or something. I don't know.
He was like the front runner for it, and he's like the leader of the their conservative party, which I believe that's even what it says, the conservative party. Yeah, with Pierre, and he was like the front runner. So it's clear that like this is like a rigging attempt, but Canada is going to do it so much worse than America. It's like in front of everybody's faces.
So this doesn't, the power outage doesn't affect Canada though, right?
No, the blackouts are all I've been seeing have been happening just in Europe, right? So I believe it was like Spain, Portugal were like the main areas that were affected. They're like right next to each other. And then I believe Belgium and there's another country that were all like widely spread affected. If you actually click, this is where I actually saw it from. If you click on underneath this video that you have on your screen right now with the Luke Rudkowski, it says from Anand Panna. the original source of that has the hashtags of the countries that were affected. There it is: Spain, Portugal, France, and Belgium.
Okay. Gotcha. So yeah, I mean that's pretty significant.
Yeah,
Crazy.
it is wild. And this is, I believe, the trailer. It's part of the trailer for Leave the World Behind. And then at the halfway point in this video, you're going to start seeing videos people have taken of what their cities look like in this blackout. It's terrifying.
So House mentions that they, I'm so far behind in the Discord, I don't want to go to the live, which maybe it's in topic submissions.
I mean,
But I hadn't looked at the Discord in like 3 days, y'all. So I got a lot of catching up to do. But on that topic, if you guys haven't joined the Discord and you'd like to, that link is down in the description.
I see it, House. I'll send it. Let me put it in. I'm going to put it right underneath that one I just added. I grouped the India Pakistan stuff together so it wouldn't take up so much space. Damn it. That's not what I wanted to do. Hold on. Don't click on that message. It did the wrong thing. Let me just go to it and then I'll add it. It's from Zero Hedge here. Okay. Now it should go in there. Yeah, article from Zero Hedge under that X alerts one.
Breaking X alerts on.
Yeah. Well, this is insane. Is like I literally was struggling to put stuff together for like the outline today, trying to find like hard topics, and now here it is all happening like while we're live. Like all
right.
Stories.
Well, I don't want to get too far. Well, do we want to focus on the Canada elections or do we want to focus on the blackouts in Europe?
Let's just go ahead and do that. We'll do the blackouts because Canada sucks anyways.
Right, which we can touch on that too, but I just don't want to get too far off. If you want to make a clip of this or something, it's going to be a hassle.
I know.
Big middle part.
Yeah, stay in this one.
Yeah, so we got this post here from Luke Wardkowski, blackouts in Europe, and I'm already thinking about predictive programming, doing a video on this soon. So let's check this out. I'm curious. It's a Netflix. Is this a Netflix trailer?
Yeah.
See a Netflix right there.
Yeah, it's a preview, so you can play it. You're fine. No worries about the copyright on it.
Yeah, trailer should be fine.
So sorry to bother you. You must be Amanda.
Oh yeah, this is the movie that we're just talking about.
Yeah, Leave the World Behind.
Why did you come here?
In my line of work, you have to understand the patterns that govern the world. That can help you see the future. And I knew something was coming.
Wow. The bodega.
I don't understand. What do you mean?
We've all been deserted.
Yeah, honk. That'll make them go.
Right, but look how destroyed their traffic is because all the lights are out.
Yeah. Do they even follow traffic laws in the first place?
I have no idea.
Is this that place where Christmas vacation, European vacation, where Clark Griswold gets stuck in the circle going round and round and he can't get out? He's stuck in the middle lane and he keeps pointing out Big Ben in Parliament to his kids like every time he goes around. It's like 2 hours later, he's still in the middle. Oh yeah, the trains weren't working. Just stopped working. Had to unload people just in the middle of nowhere.
Okay. So.
Yeah, but imagine if you're like in some extreme remote area, right?
Yeah.
And what's insane too is, we talked about the insider trading earlier on. I believe specifically in that movie and Leave the World Behind, the guy, the black dude it kept showing who said he knew something was coming. He doesn't say it early on, but later, and I know, spoiler alert, it's been out for a couple of years. In the end, he explains that the reason how he knew something was happening was because his big dog inside trader guy he talked with a lot for the sales, was a military industrial complex guy.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the way that they had that conversation where he knew something was wrong by the way that guy was interacting with him and the way he was doing his trades. No, he was like the portfolio manager for this guy.
Yeah, he was managed
to put out all his money or something, and he was like, he knew something was up from just that alone.
Yep. Exactly. So he was a little bit you know, aware of what might happen potentially. But yeah,
Yeah.
it was actually a decent movie. Wasn't the best. I think the end was really stupid. If I remember correctly, it just cuts off right at the end.
Yeah,
You're kind
there's
of
no closure. It just ends.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah, but it is terrifying, right? And and they go to Spain, right, which is the one that you have on screen here, like Agenda 2030.
Society would break down if just the Wi-Fi went out. You're totally right about that, Elmo.
Spot on.
Yeah.
I mean, you just get the cell towers and people can't talk to each other and you can't reach out, you can't communicate. And I mean, people would like freaking lose their minds, right? If
Especially
everything goes
since
down.
nobody has landlines anymore. Like if cell phone towers go out, communication is just toast.
Right. And then you have the issue with like parents who have kids in schools are immediately probably going to just leave work. They're like, I'm sorry, like I need to figure out what's going on. My son's in school, like I'm leaving. I'm not staying here. Something's happening. And it would just like be collapsed because all of a sudden people would just quit working. They'd start freaking out. They'd come home. Like society would just like start stopping. It would grind to a halt, much like it did during COVID.
Right. Yeah. And that's one of the concerns that's going on right now over there is that just production, just everything is just dead in the water right now. And like I said, they're saying that it's gonna take up to 2 weeks to restore power to all the areas.